Hi there. So it looks like you're looking for some insight about the new Lexus RX, and I sure hope I can help you out. My name's Chris Wardlaw, and I'm the editor at Daily News Autos. For this review, we're evaluating the Lexus RX 350F Sport, which starts at just over $50,000. Let's take a closer look at the Lexus RX, which is the most popular luxury vehicle in America, and by a wide margin. Now look, in my opinion, since the first Lexus RX ever went on sale, not one of them has been truly attractive, and that goes for this model too. It's very dramatically styled, and frankly, I'm not that crazy about it. Now, in F Sport trim, you do get a redesigned grille. It's bolder, and it's got a deeper front air dam that sticks out a little bit further. And the problem with that is, yeah, it looks racier, but it also makes the nose stick out about 3 feet from the wheel center line, and that puts a lot of visual weight over the front of the vehicle. Now, other F Sport styling cues include these really good looking dark finish 20-inch wheels. You've got black mirrors here on the side, and then as you move around to the back, there is a restyled rear bumper with dual exhaust outlets and a little diffuser panel. Now, granted, you see a lot of RX models on the road. The styling has actually grown on me since this version came out, but it's still really funky. Obviously though, that's not hurting sales. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of the way the RX looks on the outside, but I really like what Lexus has done with the interior of this vehicle. You'll notice that the dashboard is kind of stepped and layered, and it's cut down from the dashboard or from the windshield in order to improve visibility. And then you've got these big side mirrors. You've got these front quarter windows. Makes it real easy to see out. Another thing that they've done because they want to be more sporty and exciting is they've created a driver-focused cockpit, and the seating position in these bolstered front seats is kind of low. And so you don't sit up high in a tippy position like most SUVs. You're snug down in this vehicle, and it's actually very satisfying. F Sport models get this thick-rimmed sport steering wheel with paddle shifters, and then real aluminum trim for the console, the pedals, and there's a few other details here that are unique to the F Sport. Overall, the instrumentation and the controls are logical and well arranged. There are some exceptions to that rule. For example, climate controls are here, but your heating and ventilation controls for the seats are right here. This cruise control stalk is common to all Toyota and Lexus models. Once you get used to it, it's super simple, but if you like steering wheel controls, it's going to take some acclimation. My test car's got the optional 12.3-inch infotainment system screen, and I really like the screen itself. As you can see, you can put the map up. You can also have the radio display up. The problem is that it's controlled using this controller down here on the center console. This is called a remote touch interface. It works like a computer mouse, but it's not particularly accurate. So, for example, let's say I don't want to listen to Jimmy Eat World right now, okay? I want to switch the station. And to do that, I have to actually wake the mouse up, and when it wakes up in the location where I last left it, which was on the map zoom. Now I have to move it over here, and you see when I move it into the radio display, it actually went to that right menu. Now I have to move it down here, and sometimes it's not very accurate and you move it too far, and then I push. Now I'm on the next reset. Okay, that took a long time. And when you're going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour, even just a few seconds of distraction is too much. Now granted, you can use steering wheel controls to cycle through presets and through these. And there's also a tuning knob. So, you've got multiple ways to do that and not use this. But I think my underlying point here is that this is not particularly helpful when you're actually driving. So if you need to use this, get everything done before you set off. Okay, as far as comfort is concerned, my test car's got heated and ventilated front seats. The front seats are very nicely bolstered. You sit low, as I mentioned, and it's very supportive. I didn't get the right mix of height and cushion support that I like typically, but otherwise I've got no problems. The RX is a 5-passenger SUV. It only comes with a second row seat. There's no third row seat option. The second row seat is accommodating though, obviously roomy enough for my 2 kids. You can probably put 3 adults back there, 2 will be happier. Leg room is fine, foot space is a little tight, and like the front seats, the cushion is a little bit low, which affects your thigh support. My test vehicle's got the available 15-speaker Mark Levinson sound system. It is good, but it lacks the depth and clarity of some of the upscale systems in competitors like, say, the Volvo XC60 and XC90. Of course, those are expensive, more so than this Mark Levinson setup, but it just, for a luxury branded vehicle, Lexus needs to step up its game on the audio. Also, very important, you need to know, Lexus does not offer Apple CarPlay or Android Auto with its infotainment system. It's a privacy thing. They have the technology, they're just not interested in using it. So if Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or MirrorLink are absolute must-haves for your next vehicle, you're gonna have to shop somewhere else because you can't get it here. So around back, the Lexus RX has got kind of a small trunk, but it's usefully shaped. There's just over 18 cubic feet of space behind the rear seats. As you can see, I've got a full-size suitcase back here along with a backpack. My family and I picked this up from the airport after a fairly long trip, and we fit all of our gear back here. But because of the slope here of the rear glass, you can't really stack a lot of stuff in here. So practically speaking, there's not much more room back here than in a traditional sedan. Now, there are levers in the side of the cargo area there that will fold the seats, and then you've got almost 57 cubic feet of cargo space to work with. And then there is a small little nook with a spare tire underneath the cargo floor. Overall, the numbers here for cargo, they're not all that impressive, but the space is fairly practical. So Lexus installs a 3.5 liter V6 engine in the RX 350. It's making 295 horsepower. It's attached to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and there are Eco, Normal, Sport, Sport Sharp, and customized driving modes that you can choose from. Front-wheel drive is standard. You can get all-wheel drive. And if you've got an extra 10 grand that you don't know what to do with, you can get a gasoline hybrid powertrain that improves both power and fuel economy, but adds weight. So you're not really getting any extra performance out of it. Acceleration from this V6 is strong right off the line, but the problem with front-wheel drive models is that it tends to break the front tires loose a little bit, and also there's a little bit of torque steer. So if those things are gonna bother you, I recommend getting the optional all-wheel drive system. Also, the engine's not turbocharged, so it kind of runs out of steam in the mid-range, and that is the reason that Lexus quotes a fairly unimpressive 0 to 60 acceleration time of 7.7 seconds. Now, as long as you're not driving in eco mode, you're going to be satisfied with the way this vehicle accelerates most of the time. Passing power is not quite as strong, so give yourself extra room if you're trying to pass somebody on a country road. The transmission shifts intuitively the majority of the time. Sometimes there were hiccups here and there, but not usually. There are paddle shifters on the F Sport. I used them on the mountainous portion of my test loop when I was in Sport and Sport Plus mode, but I didn't find them to be terribly satisfying, and so I think they're, maybe more for style or for bragging rights. Moving on, let's talk about the braking. As long as you're driving this SUV the way that the majority of people are going to drive it, the majority of the time, you're going to be happy with the brakes. A couple of things I noticed. One, on my test loop when I was driving with enthusiasm, they faded pretty badly with temperatures in the mid-80s. That was fairly unexpected. Also, when driving in the mountains with my family aboard on the way over to the beach, they faded a little bit. They didn't fade, they started to shudder. They heated up and they started to shudder. So it seems like maybe Lexus should be putting a more robust braking system on the F Sport. F Sport models come with an adaptive damping suspension, and you can tell, depending on which driving mode you select, you can tell that it's working to take care of excess ride motions, especially if you choose Sport and Sport Plus. But there's still a little bit more head toss than I expect, a little bit more body roll, a little bit more body motion than I'm expecting with a vehicle that's got adaptive damping suspension, especially one that is supposed to be more of a sporty-oriented vehicle. In terms of handling, again, around town, it's going to feel very nimble. On the highway, it feels solid and planted. But if you try to exercise it, if you're a driving enthusiast and you take it on a favorite road, you're going to be disappointed. The 20-inch tires give up pretty early and they squeal. There's the aforementioned body roll that you're going to be contending with, and it gives up pretty early. And the steering doesn't feel alive in your hands either. I mean, it's nicely weighted throughout the range of motion, and there's no dead spot on center. But it just doesn't feel crisp. It doesn't feel accurate. It doesn't make you want to drive the RX any faster than you already are. Fuel economy, perhaps more than anything else, fuel economy was the big disappointment. I got 18.7 miles per gallon on my test loop. The EPA says you should get 23 miles per gallon. That's a pretty significant shortfall. So if you're thinking you're going to get the EPA ratings, you are probably sadly mistaken. Look, I get why the Lexus RX is so popular. This luxury crossover SUV is reliable, it's safe, and it's upscale. Some might even call it stylish. Chances are this latest RX will capably serve its owners for years and years to come. My sister-in-law's got a first-generation RX that she bought brand new and she's still driving it. Just don't choose the F Sport model expecting genuine performance. This version is primarily a styling exercise with just a little extra sportiness tossed in for good measure. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you found it useful. If you're looking for more details about the Lexus RX, be sure to read our full review at Daily News Autos. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, safe travel.